You know when you're listening to a song and you just wonder, how does it do that? How can it make you feel, on top of the world one second and then kind of sad and thoughtful the next? Well, it's not some kind of magic. It's actually music theory. And today, we're going to pull back the curtain and look at the real building blocks of harmony. All right, so here's the game plan. First, we're going to break down what a chord even is. Then we'll get into how they create all those different moods. After that, we'll meet the main characters, the big players in any musical story. And to wrap it up, we'll look at how musicians add a little spice to the mix. Okay, let's jump right in. First things first, we got to talk about the most basic ingredient. Before we can even get into harmony, we need to know what it's made of, right? And that basic unit is the chord. The most common one you'll hear everywhere, it's called a triad. Now, triad might sound a little technical, but trust me, it's a really simple and kind of beautiful idea. All it is a stack of 3 notes. And that whole separated by thirds thing, it just means you play 1, skip 1, play 1, skip 1. You pick a starting note, skip the next note in the scale, grab the third one, then you skip the fourth and grab the fifth. That's it. This simple pattern is the foundation for pretty much every chord you hear on the radio. So, every single triad has these 3 specific parts. Think of it like a little building. The bottom note, that's the root. It's the foundation, the anchor. It's what gives the chord its name. Then, stacked right on top of that is the third. And on top of that is the fifth. Root, third, fifth. Simple, right? That's the formula. It's the DNA for everything else we're going to talk about. Okay, so we know what a chord is, a simple stack of 3 notes, but how does that simple stack manage to create this huge range of emotions we feel in music? This is where things get really cool. Let's dig into the 2 main moods, or what I like to call the flavors of harmony. Basically, in most of the music we listen to, you've got 2 main emotional colors, major and minor. Major chords, those are your bright, happy, uplifting sounds. Like a big, soaring pop song or that classic Here Comes the Bride feeling. But minor chords, well, they have a totally different vibe. They feel heavier. They can sound dark, a little sad, maybe more thoughtful. So what is it? What's the tiny little switch that flips music from happy to sad, from joy to reflection? It seems like it would be something really complex, right? Well, you're probably going to be surprised by how simple it actually is. Here it is, the whole secret. It all comes down to one single note, just one. It's the middle note, the third. The root on the bottom and the fifth on top, they don't change at all. But if you just nudge that middle note down a tiny bit, you completely change the entire feeling of the chord. You go from bright and happy to dark and sad. Just like that. It's amazing, right? One tiny change, a huge emotional impact. That's just incredibly powerful. All right, so chords have moods. Got it. But here's the thing. They don't just float around on their own. They're part of a team working together inside a musical key. And every chord on that team has a very specific job to do. It's kind of like a recipe, or maybe even a cast of characters in a play. So in every single musical key, there is one chord that feels like home. It's your home base. It's the musical center of gravity. It's that feeling of, we've arrived. The place where everything feels settled and resolved. In the biz, we call this chord the tonic, and we give it the Roman numeral I. Now, a key has a bunch of different chords you can use. But honestly, most songs are built around just 3 main players. We call them the primary triads. You've got your home base, the tonic, or the I chord. Then you have the chord built on the 4th step of the scale, that's the subdominant, the IV chord, and then the one built on the 5th step, the dominant, or V chord. I'm telling you, these 3 chords, they are the absolute heart and soul of thousands and thousands of songs. And here's the really important part. How these 3 chords tell a story. Think of it this way. The tonic, the I, is home. The subdominant, the 4, is like taking a little trip, a nice journey away from home. But the dominant, the V chord, that one creates tension. It's this feeling of, where are we going? It builds this powerful magnetic pull that just makes you want to go back home to the tonic. It's a whole story right there, a journey out and the satisfying return home. So once you've got that basic I-4-5 recipe down, you can start to get creative. It's like being a chef. You know the main dish, but now you can add some garnish, a little spice, to give it your own unique flavor. Musicians have all sorts of clever little tricks for this, to add some variety without changing the main ingredients. Okay, so here's a thought. What if you take the exact same three notes of a chord, your root, your third, your fifth, but you just shuffle them? You changed the order they're stacked in. Well, that simple little trick has a name. It's called an inversion. All right, this is what we've been looking at so far. This is the standard, the default. It's called root position. And just like the name says, the root note is right there in the bottom and the bass. It gives the chord this really solid, stable, grounded feeling. Okay, now let's do that shuffle. We're going to take that root note from the bottom and pop it all the way up on top. Now, all of a sudden, the third is the lowest note. This is called a first inversion. And get this, it's the exact same notes, just in a different order. But it has a slightly different flavor, right? It feels a little lighter because its foundation is different now. And we can shuffle them one more time. Now we put the fifth on the bottom. This gives us what's called a second inversion. This one often feels the most, well, unstable of the three. It feels like it's leaning, like it really wants to go somewhere else. And that's exactly why musicians use it. It's a fantastic way to create these really smooth, flowing connections from one chord to the next. But what if you want to dial up the drama even more? What if you need even more tension to make that coming home feeling even stronger? Well, for that, there's another trick. You can add a fourth note to the chord. So check this out. We take our dominant chord, that V chord, that's already full of tension, right? And we add one more note right on top of the stack, a seventh. This creates a dominant seventh chord. And that extra note, oh man, it adds so much instability, so much clash, that the need to go back home to the tonic becomes, well, almost irresistible. It's like the ultimate musical cliffhanger. It just has to be resolved. So there you have it, from a simple three-note stack to the emotional power of major and minor, to the storytelling journey of the I-4-5 progression, and all the spice you can add with inversions and sevenths. You basically have the keys to the musical kingdom now. So the next time you put on your favorite song, I want you to listen a little differently. Listen for that story. What journey is the harmony taking you on? What are you going to hear now that you know the secrets?